We have yet another episode being done today for the past podcast. If you're tuning in, I do appreciate it. If you'd like to check out any previous episodes, go to Spreaker.com/Brite Podcast. Nonetheless, let's continue the show. All right, the podcast has been moved again for two purposes. The weekly podcast, as I did mention to you all yesterday, is going to be today. So this will be your long podcast. This is your host, BT, back again with my co-host, Dimitri.
Back at it again. Happy Easter to y'all.
Happy Easter, yes indeed. We're going to go ahead and just rewind and not acknowledge Tax Day, but it was what it was. But we do have a bit of a memorial or an honorary moment on Tax Day for one of our athletes that will be talked about in the podcast today. Quite a few topics. We prepped quite a bit with this podcast, and it's gonna be a little relaxing. I'll go ahead and give the reminder and letting folks know, because I have been addressed in this, to remember that when I do get to the point of talking about sports, the story will change, and I'll say this is the point where I talk about sports. So if this is not your thing, I appreciate you listening. That way you're not according to the possible hour or 2 hour podcast. Who knows? So last week, as you all know, I did do the artist spotlight on Whitney Houston. My initial instinct by default was I was either going to go New Edition or I was going to go Bobby Brown, but I decided to kind of go a little bit more retro and a little bit more current, if that makes sense. Because she is currently still making music, and she is still known because her husband, coincidentally, is still in the NBA. I'm not sure which team he's on, because he's been kind of like a
Shannon Brown.
Yeah, Shannon Brown has been kind of traveling team to team, but
he's been lost for a few years.
Yeah, so Monica, her name now, Monica Brown, of course, is our featured artist who. She was born and raised in College Park, Georgia. She produced her first album, or had her first studio album released in '95 at the ripe age of 15. The album's called Miss Thing. I'm gonna go old school with this for a moment. The two singles that are addressed that went, multi-platinum, or helped the album become multi-platinum, Don't Take It Personal and Before You Walk Out of My Life. Videos that are always going to be known and always going to be remembered when it comes to her as far as talent and as far as skill. And for her to break the record as far as being one of the youngest to record and have two consecutive chart topping albums hit the billboards, that's a big deal, especially for R&B, and that was in the 90s. So you think, last week we did talk about Whitney. So to be in that conversation, even though it was, they had two totally separate styles, it was just a big thing. Her second album she did, which was coincidence because the name of the album was one of the hit songs on the album, called The Boy Is Mine, which featured a well-known artist. Well, it was a duet with Brandy. And it's funny because y'all know I'm transparent when I do my podcast. When I thought of doing this episode and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do show notes and get everything prepared, got to the point and I talked about Brandy, and I was like, all right, I don't need to talk about nothing else, because this is where it just kind of gets into the juicy gossip, but it's really no gossip because it was a coincidence that they liked each other and worked with each other well during this album or during this song, but then afterward, they weren't really eye to eye, but they oddly enough came out with another song later on in 2011, which we'll get into later. But they did the song together, The Boy Is Mine. Another she also got some more Billboard top charts in the top 100. The First Night and Angel of Mine. She then decided to get into a little bit of acting. She was in Boys and Girls as well as Love Song. That then led into her hitting that musical. And most artists go through this musical spiral. And I want you all to understand, whenever I share the artist spotlight, you're always going to hear about that spiral or that transition that happens. And with most artists, either the transition happens and they fall apart, they struggle, or they kind of turn around and say, all right, let me go ahead and get my life back together and start making some things kind of work out. So, I'm sorry. You got stuff I don't want to take over the podcast.
Yeah, actually, I was going to go down the path that you had went down with the spiral.
Okay.
A part of hers was, when she had actually, her ex-boyfriend, Jarvis Williams.
Yes.
Back in 2000. They were together at Williams' brother's, funeral because he had died through, an automobile accident.
Yeah.
And then when Williams himself pulled out a gun and actually committed suicide. And that was, a spiral in her life that she actually had to go down for a while before she actually had to come out of.
Right. Yeah. So that happening was what kind of led to the third album, which was known as All Eyes on Me. And I remember this album because I'm the sample. Anyone who knows me and knows how I am with music, I'm the sample junkie. So when I hear a song, I usually can pick up on a sample being used or knowing it's a sample-based album. And a lot of it was a bit of a sample-based album. Like the song So Gone was a sample that she used from an old school song. All Eyes on Me was coincidentally sampled from Michael Jackson, which I'm surprised we haven't. Guess that'll be an idea down the road. Might have to do a Michael Jackson artist spotlight, but All Eyes on Me was sampled from PYT. If you go back and listen to that song, so she did work on a couple songs, and she did her fourth album, After the Storm, which, like I said, it was unsuccessful. She was able to get her fifth number one single, which was So Gone, and that was also leading to her other single, You Should Have Known Better. Then she went into her sixth album, Still Standing, which was oddly enough, balanced out with her reality show, which didn't really get a lot of attention due to BET, but it was on it was called Monica Still Standing, and it had the song Everything to Me, and that was also another song that was sampled. I can't think of the artist right offhand. I'll probably be researching it real quick. And I'm sorry, y'all know I'm a quick typist, so I'm guilty of that. But it was sampled by Denise. It was sampled from the song Denise Williams' Silly. If any of y'all know old school music, you'll know what I'm referring to. But she did release that song, release that album. And from that point on, she did a few more albums. She did New Life. She did Code Red. Matter of fact, her website now is Code Red, so that's kind of the last album she worked on. She did marry Shannon Brown in 2010. She has 3 kids. Did not know until reading just now that she's related to Ludacris.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, so
it's her cousin.
Yeah, so she was, like I said, she was a unique artist. And I'm sorry, I did mention her and Brandy recollabing again. They ended up doing an album together called It All Belongs to Me, which I happened to see the video for that. Forgot about. I knew it was a video, but didn't realize, how much was involved with that storyline. Any other 2% random things you want to add?
And that's not it for
Monica. Yeah,
okay.
It's not, and I'm not trust and believe. I'm not playing it as I'm kind of downplaying or just pushing the Monica story aside. Okay, Monica did what? She didn't really do anything. It wasn't a big deal, but I just wanted to kind of throw her story in because I've kind of kept up with her for a good while when it came to the music industry, and she was kind of one of my growing up artists. So I know when I shared the information, and I like I said, I'm transparent with y'all. Podcast prep was a little tight this week because I was running and ripping and roaring, so a lot of the information I'm giving to Dimitri was kind of improv, but y'all already know as soon as sports comes, he'll wake up. So trust me, and it's like I said, this is our Sunday, so it's not a norm of usually doing a podcast on a Sunday. So jumping away from the Monica story, doing a little bit of gaming. So a lot of my gaming heads, any of my Xbox owners, whoop whoop, we were blessed with a excellent thing to come to the backwards compatibility scene known as Call of Duty Black Ops 2. So to give a little bit of history, Black Ops 2 came out in 2014, I want to say. 2013.
Okay.
And when it came out at that time, it was the talk of the town. Everybody played it. It was what most of my friends have talked about. We called it the running gun, shoot 'em up, play the game, just full war. Mm-hmm. A lot of the games after Call of Duty, Advanced Warfare. The only exception was Ghosts, and everybody complained about Call of Duty Ghosts. Anybody that I heard talk about Call of Duty Ghosts made major complaints, major whining because they didn't like it. And if I remember correctly, Black Ops 3 was what converted the gaming platform over to PlayStation. So you had Call of Duty 2, you had Black Ops 2, you had Call of Duty Ghosts, which was just something thrown in just to do something, which was I think made by Sledgehammer. Then you had Advanced Warfare, which a lot of people didn't play.
Yeah, I didn't play that one.
Yeah, Advanced Warfare a lot of people didn't touch. And Advanced Warfare kind of introduced this problem or this thing known as exosuits, which basically was, okay, you can take a character, you can fly across the stage, you can climb the walls and all this stuff that was futuristic, but it didn't fit into just the core purpose of Call of Duty. So Black Ops 3 came in and it was like, okay, we're gonna keep the exosuits.
Yeah,
we'll make it. We'll give you the little sliding tricks and do all this other little stuff. And Black Ops 3 was pretty good. It was on, like I said, that converted over to the PlayStation platform being primary. So when downloadable content came out, PlayStation got it first. Which I don't. Who gets what games or who gets what information first? I'm not that pressed on that one way or the other. As long as it's out there and it's available, it's no big deal. So they had that, and then our favorite game came out that nobody likes, nobody streams, nobody's a fan of. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Infinite Warfare fooled everybody because, it didn't fool everyone. Everyone who purchased Infinite Warfare was more so purchasing it for the Modern Warfare that you got with the game.
Yeah.
So when you got Modern Warfare, it was like, all right, cool, we can play Modern Warfare. But everybody who had Xbox Ones or even like on PlayStation, you kind of go with the punches. You can go on like stream games and stuff, no big deal. But there were a lot of people who had Xbox 360 that played Black Ops 2 like it was life. So when they got the Xbox One, it was like, okay, y'all brought out Black Ops 2, you brought out Modern Warfare 3, you brought out Modern Warfare for us now. When are we going to get Black Ops 2? So Black Ops 2 got prolonged. Infinite Warfare or Infinity Warfare eventually said, you know what? We've heard you listen, we've heard your stories. We'll go ahead and make this game. We'll bring it out as backwards compatible. Why it's a big deal and what makes this such an impact story is because this was one of the top multiplayer games for fighting games back in the day. Nothing to take away from Gears of War, nothing to take away from Halo, any of those other games. I know I'm naming a lot of the Xbox games, but as far as, even with that, like a lot of people now don't even play Destiny like that. So, You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's kind of waiting for Destiny 2. Not sure how to, like, I'm going to be talking about that when we get closer to it, but I've been quiet because you have to, as I've learned with gaming, you have to be honest, but also try to avoid being biased, which is easier said than done most times for me. But with Black Ops 2, it was kind of like the wait was over. I actually just downloaded mine yesterday. Anyone who has downloaded it or is looking to download it, it is, if you do have already played it before and used it under the same gamer tag, it is there and available for, it'll pick up your ranking. So, like and I'm not the best Call of Duty player, but I used to catch double XP weekends. But I was a Prestige 4 rank 30, so I did pretty good. I mean, I'm going to probably get back into it and play some more. Okay. But yeah, I wasn't the best, but I like for nerd terms, my kill death ratio was like a 0.6. No. You can forget it. I'm not even gonna try to act like I was good. I just kind of did what I needed to do to play the game.
No, I feel you on that. I know some people who said it was like 3.2. I'm like, kudos to you. I'm not.
Yeah, If I had a game where I went 12-4, I feel like I did something special. Because the next game I went 1-19. I'm like, where are y'all coming from? Like, but it's one of those things. It's just a nature. It's how the nature of the beast is with gaming and with Call of Duty. But I'll admit, on a side note, esports, when it came to Call of Duty in that time frame, I'll see guys go out there and get easily 25 kills. I'm like, let me at least get 15 kills and I'll feel proud of myself. So that was the I wanted to share that story because it's a big news for the Xbox community and just the gaming community as a whole.
When did it come out?
That was on the 11th, if I am not mistaken. Let me make sure, because I know I like to give. I want to just throw names out there.
You want to give the exact day?
Yeah, because I want to say it was. I want to say it was on. It was on the 11th when it dropped. Because as soon as it hit, everybody was just waiting. Like finally, we're getting what we asked for. Let's see if I can find a date. Sorry, we're gonna have a little bit of white noise for a second, so I'm just gonna y'all bear with me and we're gonna make it work. Looks like it was it was the 11th. Because usually they do releases on a Tuesday, so it's about pretty accurate. If it is wrong and I give you an inaccurate date, I will post that link in the show notes. So now to kind of give a little bit of a podcast attention, and this was kind of a brief, like the link that I shared was kind of just hey, this is just something that they have, but it's something that I wanted to share to kind of get folks to know, hey,
bring attention to this, like
to the community, because with stories, most times everyone knows the usual shows, the CNNs, the Fox News, the Huffington Post, MSNBC. One site that I've always recommended to people is 538, which basically is a blogging site that talks about. The site was initially made for the electoral votes. It's the amount of electoral votes in the United States, but they also do statistics on random pieces of information with everything, like sports. They'll talk about, say, if you went on the site today, they would give a breakdown of here are the games that are being played today,
and percentage chances that somebody
who has a higher chance of winning, like. Between they give a very detailed breakdown of a story we're going to talk about later related to the MVP race as to why Harden would be the best pick, Westbrook would be the best pick, so on and so forth. But this story that I'm sharing now with podcasting is with NPR. I've talked about them a while back. They do a skit called Tiny Desk, which is phenomenal. Any of you who want to get different artists from a live perspective, NPR is pretty spot on and very enjoyable for Tiny Desk. But I also found out about a link called Up First, where it pretty much gives you kind of that morning on the go listen. Most of the episodes typically are usually under 15 minutes. They'll have different guests on. It's hosted by Rachel Martin, David Green, and Steve Inskeep. They'll give you different stories, about different things going on in NPR News. That states that it comes on at 6 a.m. Now keep in mind that it'll be available at 6 a.m. But if your podcast stream doesn't have it scheduled to be shown at 6 p.m., then it's going to kind of show up when it does. So you want to make sure that you update your, information to get it in that manner and not be behind or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I shared that one just kind of as a bit of a different spin towards, the listeners who once in a while may need a little bit of a listen to kind of see what's been going on in the music, well, not in the music industry, but with politics, things of that sort, without having to get like 1,001 perspectives from people who you don't know who they are and what they talk about. Yeah, and that's the other thing is NPR is a pretty non-biased station from what I've listened to. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the main reason of sharing that. Now I usually do pretty good, and I'm sorry, before I continue, this is the point of the podcast where I will be talking about all of the sports. And I'm glad that you have been able to tune in for the past 18 minutes to get the information that was shared sports-wise, tech-wise, music-wise, gaming-wise, political-wise, etc. But this is where we're going to kind of do a little bit of sports. If you want to fast forward to the end, there will be an ending about some information that's non-sports related in our weekly Ask of the Week. But
LTW.
But in the meantime, in between time, we're gonna go ahead and get on with our sports stuff. And first story that I really am ready for is, I know everyone is excited, and I'm not gonna lie, after last season, I think for both of us, like in your case, being as close as y'all were, and us being as far as we were, I'm ready for a new football season. So this week, we
ready for the draft.
Ready for the draft. And before we hit the draft, we do have. They did give a releasing of our new schedules.
Preseason.
Yeah, so we got our schedules ready. Looks like I did kind of glimpse over team schedules and how it all broke down. Carolina has a pretty good run. I mean, it's preseason. I don't really get too worked up. We have Houston, we have Tennessee, we have Jacksonville, and we play Pittsburgh on week 4. So I'm not really, preseason, you kind of is like a start 'em and sit 'em type of game. It's kind of going to be a chance to get a lot of rookies, a little bit of exposure.
That's what it's more for, yeah.
Because, I mean, most times players like Tom Brady, I don't even think plays in preseason anymore.
Plays like a quarter or two, like in week 3.
Just to kind of get his legs under himself and stuff. But for the purpose of that, it's not really much to it. But I do actually have shared the schedule for preseason. Y'all looks like y'all have Miami week 1, which should be pretty good game.
And the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Then who did I see? Cardinals.
Yep.
And then the Jaguars week 4. So I think that most of the starters play a little bit more like in week 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be a little bit good to watch with the Cardinals. Get prep before the season starts. But I'm ready to see the regular season schedule, see how that goes. Yeah,
I'm wanting to say they release it a little before the draft.
Release it before the draft.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's because I'm thinking. Well, yeah, it's 11. Let's see, we got 11 days give or take for the draft, so it's about less than almost.
So somewhere around the draft time.
Probably around draft time, if not right after. They give you the actual regular season schedule. So we'll trust and believe when regular season schedules break down. If your team wants to be mentioned or you want to have it addressed, we definitely can try to get them. Trying to do all 32 teams is not going to happen, but I'll try to acknowledge and break down what we can based on the draft prospects and players that we have. So going into that, we are, as I mentioned, about a little under 12 days away from the NFL draft. The draft date is actually on April 27th. They've broken down, the prospects. They've looked at some of the quarterbacks. It's not really. This is more, from what I can look at draft-wise, it's more of a defensive-based draft.
Yeah, that's what I've seen as well too.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I've kind of tried to research how I've looked at the draft this year, and
it's been mostly defense.
Yeah,
but as every year, the teams try to make quarterbacks better than what they are. You know what I mean? So they start to creep up the draft board. Yeah, and that's what started to happen recently with some of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, because I see that they've projected the Jets possibly picking up the quarterback from Clemson at 6. I mean, and like I said, this is all just kind of a rumor and just kind of a talking because anytime they do draft and currently we're doing the football draft. Y'all know NBA draft. I'm gonna break it all down on heavy levels because with drafts they do mock drafts based on what they feel teams may or may not pick up per need or per necessity, and that's no exception for this draft that we have on hand. Looking at some of the lottery picks, they kind of give a bit of a mock-up as to what teams could possibly need or may want to look for. But first pick, they're saying top needs is quarterback, pass rusher, DB, but they're looking at defense. San Fran, same as kind of quarterback, especially with the Kaepernick story kind of being all over the place. I'm not going to break down team by team, but we'll both look at we're going to break down both of our teams based on what they showed us needing. What do we personally feel like our teams need? And I'm not going to, like I said, I'll be the first to admit, trying to sit and give you name by name of players in the draft, I'm good at it, but I also have to because when the draft comes on, typically the first round is broken down. You got the green screen, the green room, everybody's there. By rounds 3 and 4, they pretty much are naming individuals, and you're just seeing if they even make the practice team by that point.
Well, some of them end up being good, but it's sketchy.
Yeah, like
on the draft. Yeah,
because I mean, like I think about like a couple of years ago, and I mean, I'm not using him as an example in a bad way, but it kind of is a confirmation to the point. When Michael Sam came out and was drafted, a lot of people thought that he wasn't a good pick or didn't work out because of him coming out saying he was openly gay. The reason he didn't work out as a good draft pick was because he couldn't play football.
Not because he couldn't play football, because he wasn't athletic enough or
he wasn't
to play in the NFL. He was
right.
Good. He was good at college.
He was good. College-wise, he was fine. I'm saying it. I know I said that like just straight for the throat, but it was like he just didn't like when it came to the NFL. He didn't play up to par. Like the hype didn't. You got to be able to. If you've proven that you were one of the top players in the SEC, or top defensive players in the SEC, we need to know why. What did you do that really gave you that position? Yeah. So, like I said, Carolina. So with Carolina's needs, they're saying it's offensive tackle, defensive end, running back. I can see that with a running back situation kind of being.
I see they have you in most mock drafts picking up a running back. Like Christian McCaffrey,
right,
or Leonard Fournette. Who would you rather have?
I want Fournette. From if he goes that can get that low on the draft board, because you know with drafts if teams pick up based on needs, they're gonna go for who they're gonna go for right away.
Yeah, because Fournette could go like to the Jaguars or something earlier.
And see the Jags, I don't understand it. Well, okay, we'll go this route to be fair. Do you feel like the Jags are gonna make a mistake again and pick up something they don't need, like another wide receiver, or God forbid another quarterback?
I don't think they're gonna pick up a quarterback. I think they think that they need more weapons, so that's why they're going towards. They may go towards a running back. Okay. Because they already have a nice quarterback. They got. Do they have Julius Thomas? Or did they get rid of him? Do you remember?
I think he is no longer there. Okay, I will check. I'll double check and make sure.
I think you're right on that. But they have a nice defense coming in because they had a player for last year, I believe from UCLA. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. The Jaguars find a way to screw things up all the time. So
yeah, and to answer your question, yes, he's with the Dolphins.
Okay, I thought he was gone.
Yep. So,
what about the Browns? Do you think the Browns are going to pick up another quarterback? Like, they just have a revolving door.
They can't do quarterback anymore. Because by the time, all right. So I'm gonna go there because even though I'm a Kentucky basketball fan, I kept up with Kentucky football. Ever since Tim Couch was there, it was Couch. I'm thinking it's Tim Couch. From the time they picked him up, it's been a downward spiral, and it's been just a fight of getting a good quarterback. What hurt them last year was the reality was that RG3 was not healthy. He was healthy he was healthy, but not to the health of being able to help them get wins. Because the truth of the matter is, and I guess I need to just say it as being an unbiased or a direct fan, the Browns don't build for winning. They build just to build. They don't build because you need to. Like most times when you're getting a team together, you want to get a team together to make the playoffs.
And around somebody.
Right.
They don't have anybody to build it around. And they picked up Brock Osweiler this summer, too. So Brock Osweiler.
Right.
RG3.
Yeah.
And they still had the rookie quarterback, too, that they had, like, from
a couple years ago. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
And you wait. It's like you're waiting. And, I mean, it's so dumb because there are so many other teams that go through quarterback carousels. Teams like this, it shouldn't even be a quarterback carousel. It's like, look, who's the best team? Who's the best player that we can put on the field that can, number one, stay upright, and number two, get some yards on the stats and also get touchdowns. And I mean,
they probably had a top 10 pick for the last 10 years.
Right, and it's gonna be that way for quite a while. But like I said, I think as far as, like I said, with Carolina's looking at running backs, if I was to take my true shot, it would possibly be Fournette if he's available on the board.
I think McCaffrey's gonna be nice too, though.
I won't complain about either one of them. I mean, I think it'll help take the load off of our current running back situation because
Fournette definitely fits your system better because he's a power runner and that's the type of offense you guys run.
Right.
So he fits that too. He fits that very well.
Yeah, and the other side of it too. If we can get Cam to not run the ball so much, it would be helpful. But then I also know he's got it in his nature, it's his DNA to just run the ball. So yeah. That's the other uphill battle you have going So to look at your team,
they're saying that we need a guard, defensive end, and defensive tackle.
Right.
I think that anybody who's watched the Falcons would know they need some, more pass rushing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it looks like that's what we're going to be going for, which is great.
I mean, you got to, and then if I'm remembering the draft correctly,
and this is a rushing. This is like a defensive draft, like you pointed out before. So this fits perfectly for us. Yeah. But we also want the Falcons also need a guard as well too. Offensive lineman. Yeah. Because they lost last season because they got sacked twice at the end of the close to the end of the game. So
yeah. I want to see. Okay, this is what I need to see. So I'll get your team as well because it's going to be important. Looking at the drafts, Carolina's picks this year we have pick 8. I gotta look at the exact because I had a listing that shows it.
You have pick 8.
Yeah, pick 8 and pick 40, 60. I gotta look at the list because it's like weird how they got it listed. Because I think they, or like I guess I'm looking at the numerical orders. 8, 40, 64, 98 are the bigger picks, like the higher picks we have. And I'll check Atlanta really, really, really quick. O-line, D-line, 31st pick, 63rd pick, 90. Okay, now all right, it makes sense. So y'all have the 31st pick, 63rd pick, 95th pick. I mean, so how it works?
First, second, third.
Yeah. Just your normal. Yeah, you got first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then seventh. And I mean, in all fairness, I think they'll draft pretty good. Like more than likely, what we'll do. And I know it's we got to give it a couple of weeks. Is we'll have the draft happen. We'll look at who do we get. Are we happy with our picks? Is there somebody we should have gotten? It's going to, of course, be some trades of picks going on in that time frame as well.
Always happens.
Yeah, so we'll kind of let that all kind of pan out for itself and just kind of be what it is. So with going into, so we kind of chipped at football. Like I said, we'll dance a little bit more with football later, but we'll it's just a brief story that's kind of important to the football community. So we'll definitely be sure to give that story.
Still got a whole off season to talk about it.
Right. Yeah. So our next story, we're gonna do a little bit of NBA update news and stories. Now, before I start, because I promised I would say it because it was addressed with me in Facebook Messenger. A friend of mine sent me a message, and I'm still trying to figure out. I know him from school, but his profile picture is a Dallas picture, and I'm like, that's not telling me who you were, so I don't remember him very well. But I know from the way he talked with me, we talked a lot of sports, and and me, like we talk about all the time. Sports, I'm gonna talk sports, and I'm blue in the face.
Yeah.
But he did make a mention of stating that Cleveland would lose Game 1 to Indiana.
They should have lost Game 1.
When I saw that, and I was traveling, I was going somewhere, and I happened to look down at my phone, and I saw, CJ Miles misses game winner, and Cleveland wins Game 1. I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to hear about this, or it's going to come up. It hasn't come up yet, but I know it's coming. But for the most part, Cleveland was able to win their series they win their game against Indiana by 1 point. The Spurs in Memphis was a lopsided. I don't even know what
that was like. In the first half.
It was close in the first half, but it didn't turn into a bloodbath. The shocker for me, but not really the shocker, is Milwaukee beating Toronto. And the only reason it's not a shocker is because the Greek Freak plays pretty good.
And also the Raptors are terrible in Game 1s.
Right.
And Kyle Lowry is terrible in the first round.
Right.
Actually, he's pretty bad in the playoffs in general. I say he played pretty bad.
Yeah.
And
they still got, and they're
one series.
Yeah, one guy who stepped up that I was surprised. I mean, I ain't gonna say I was surprised, but I actually was glad for was Thon Maker because he's been kind of quiet, and everyone's waiting for this breakout point to happen with him. But what everybody also has to remember is he's a very soft-spoken player.
He's a rookie too.
Yeah,
and he just came out of like a prep school last year.
Yeah,
and also Malcolm Brogdon too, rookie actually from played at Virginia too.
Right. Yeah,
came out and balled. He had 16 points.
Yeah, so I mean that worked out good for them. With getting that. I guess you can call it an upset.
Another
upset. Utah. Joe Johnson. Like, welcome back. I don't want to say welcome back too heavy. I just want to say
some fans didn't know that he was even still playing. So,
right. A lot of people forgot. Yeah. Right. Now, I will admit, and I'm going to say this about this series. One of the X factors actually was an All-Star this year, and no one's going to give him a lot of credit, but I'm waiting for him to... This is going to be his breakout year of trying to show off Gordon Hayward.
If he shows off.
If he shows off, yeah.
They don't show off. Like, Antetokounmpo, he's showing off. Like, he's putting himself out there like he's a star player.
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward, when you watched the game last night, he couldn't even
He was kind of a no-show.
Yeah, exactly. He had boards. He had 10 rebounds. So credit to that.
Yeah.
He had 5 turnovers, shot 7 of 18.
Yeah. So, but other than that, it was kind of just a...
You expect more out of him.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially with you being an all-star and being the go-to guy. Gobert went down. That was a huge hit.
20 seconds into the game.
Wow.
It looked bad, too, because he looked like hyperextended his knee. So
it could be some time out.
It looks worse on the replay, yeah. So.
Yeah. Any upset? So the other games will be played today. Golden State against Portland. Don't ask me why, but Damian Lillard feels like they can win in 6.
Well, he was asked the question. In all fairness, he was asked.
Yeah, no.
He was asked Blazers in 6 or Blazers in 7.
Yeah.
He said Blazers in 6. So it's not like he was saying all in fun.
True.
But
I mean, do you see them winning? Do you see them winning at least one game?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I see them winning at least one game.
Okay.
They're a good team.
Yeah.
It depends if they have Nurkic, Lucas Nurkic.
Yeah, because he's been battling injuries.
Yeah, if they have him, yeah, definitely they can give him some trouble.
Okay.
They have a good team. I don't see them winning, of course.
Right.
But who's going to go into a series thinking, now we're going to lose?
Right, and it looks like from what I'm getting in notifications that the Washington-Atlanta game is starting now, so scores may come up for that, but we'll just kind of let it be what it is.
Who do you have winning today let's
if I to get my 4?
Yeah.
I want to be the nice guy, and I'm gonna say because it's game 1. I'm gonna go ahead and say
which game are you going?
I'm going for the 4 games that are played today.
Okay.
Golden State. I got Golden State winning game 1. Especially it's in Golden State. Boston's gonna be. It's gonna be close, but towards the end, I think Boston will pull it off. I'm gonna pick Washington. Only because, and I'm only saying Washington like that because Atlanta always is questionable, but it's like we talked about it, and I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna find this link and share it with you all. Any of you all, this is kind of the gaming reference. If you remember the game NBA Jam, they did like a breakdown of like the top 2 on each team that are in the playoffs, and they showed Paul Millsap, and they showed his breakdown of his stats. And if anybody plays NBA Jam, you know what they show like. Inside like 2-point, 3-point blocks, assists, steals, speed,
power.
Everything he had was in the green, which was weird because I don't see that in him when he plays. But I understood why you said he was kind of like overrated in that stats.
He's only one of the only 3 players on that was all in the green. I was surprised by that.
But he's the X factor for that game, for that series, or for that game.
Okay.
So I'm picking Washington. And the only reason I'm looking at Washington strictly is because. Until anyone can tell me otherwise, and it's nothing against Klay Thompson and Steph, that's still one of the best backcourts in the NBA with Michael Beal and John Wall.
You're saying over Klay and Steph, or they're one of?
They're one of the best.
Oh, okay.
I would say like as far as now, last year it was a discussion of back and forth, kind of sort of, but the only problem was Michael Beal didn't show up.
Bradley Beal.
I'm sorry, Bradley Beal. I don't know why I said Michael Beal.
Oh, yeah.
I think I know why, but I'm not going to acknowledge why. But Beal and Wall didn't really have like that true chemistry. This year, you can see it a lot more, and that's the only reason I gave them the slight edge, like I'm giving them guard wise.
I'm still saying Steph and Klay just because they have the playoff pedigree, championship pedigree.
Oh yeah,
and whatnot. But they're definitely up there though.
I mean,
I think Washington's going to win that series. And they're going to give who do you have for for OKC and Houston? Yeah,
I was I was delayed on picking that one. I'm really gonna just go ahead and surprise everyone, even though I'm the Houston fan.
For game 1,
this is game 1. I'm gonna say OKC.
Who are you saying for the series? And
for the series, I'm gonna say Houston in 6.
Houston in 6.
Yep.
I say it's going 7. I say Houston in 7.
Okay.
Oh, that series is tough because people show up with Russell Westbrook, then I'd say Houston in 7. If people don't show up like with Westbrook, then Houston in 5 or 6.
All right, so if Oladipo is a no-show.
Yeah, then it's like 6.
Okay.
Because Russell Westbrook can't do it all by himself.
And I mean, because the thing that got me is they put pieces in place with OKC to help them with this point of the season, because now you have Taj Gibson, you have McDermott. You got McDermott, you got Steven. You know, you already have Steven Adams there full health. And you got Candace. Yeah, you have guys there who were able to help,
but no shooters though, really.
Well, I mean, yeah, after McDermott, you kind of stuck. Yeah. So I mean, we probably have to prepare for Westbrook to have one of those 35 point games or a couple. But yeah, I'll say Golden State in 5. I'm sorry, it's nothing against Portland. I'm saying Golden State in 5. Yeah. Washington in 6.
Okay.
Boston in 7.
I'd go with Golden State. I'd say 5 too.
Yeah.
I'd say Houston in. I'll say 7.
Okay.
Washington. You said 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that 6 as well too. I'm gonna say Boston in 6.
In 6, okay.
In 6, yeah.
And it's all. I mean, it's like that series is always a blind stab because you don't know what it's. The thing about the playoffs is you're 0-0.
Also, Boston, Isaiah Thomas lost his sister yesterday too.
Yeah, so you might play on it. That could take an emotional hit towards him too. Yeah,
or it could push him forward.
Right. So I mean that's another factor to look at when it comes to that series.
Do you think Utah will upset the Clippers and go to round 2?
Yes.
In 5 or in 6, 7?
6. I am sorry, Clippers fans.
Even with Gobert out?
Yeah. Because, I mean, here's why I'm saying that. Other than DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, what big men do you really have that's on the Clippers that's going to be like a true threat?
Maurice Spates. Mo Buckets. Get Mo Buckets.
We're going to move on to the... Okay, I don't know. I'm not sold on them.
It's also because Utah is actually going slow. They're actually going small
ball,
too,
yeah,
and they're actually doing damage on them.
Yeah. And the other thing with Utah, and I'll say it like this because there are a lot of guys that they picked up that we have not seen do anything for a while. Trey Burke, the other point guard from
Dante Exum.
Joe Johnson now. This is Joe Johnson's green light year because he's literally at the veteran. He had the veteran.
Yeah, he hasn't played as much. I think they're going to play him more in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's the vet minimum on your team now.
Well, no, he's getting paid.
He's getting paid. I know that. Yeah, they gonna feed him. But I mean, I'm just saying, like we ain't got but so many years of Joe left. Like I mean, he just a couple of games ago broke 20K. So
they compared him to to Paul Pierce. Remember when Paul Pierce had left the Boston Celtics and he went to the Nets?
Yeah.
Then he went to the Wizards and he had that good playoff run with them.
Right.
It's kind of like what Joe Johnson's doing.
It's possible, yeah. Because I mean, when he was in, you think about it, a lot of people forgot when he was in Miami, no show. I mean, he was okay. Yeah, I mean, It was there, but it wasn't a lot to it. Talking about it to address it, I did hear a lot of friction before we go into the next topic. Miami was on the outside looking in, and a lot of people were kind of hurt. Well, I can say hurt by it, but it caught them off guard. Question to you, and this is just a thought: do you feel as though Miami would have made it with Chris Bosh on the team?
Well, he can't play because they can't put his head down. But yeah, they would have been a better team with Chris Bosh. Yeah, definitely. But they can't put his life at risk. Mm-hmm. Like at the end of the day, that's liability on them.
And I want to get to that story sooner than later to find out what is going to happen with Chris Bosh because I really feel like they're going to let him go, but they can't. They're trying to hold. They're trying to hold on to make it more. It's almost like it's become political based as to him being on the team now. Yeah, that's what I observed.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen with that. I have a question for you.
Yeah. What's up?
So, where do you think Cleveland's going to go? Do you think they go all the way? Or do you think they're not going to make it to the finals?
Cleveland, the only thing that can stop Cleveland from getting to the finals is Cleveland. And I'm only saying that strictly because I feel like
strictly because they have no defense.
Yeah. I mean, they can score on teams at will.
Yeah, definitely.
That's not a problem. I mean, you think about it. All right, so you look at Cleveland now. You think of when you say so we're basing it strictly on defense, Tristan Thompson, and that's it. And that's if you get Tristan Thompson in his right mind, right game set.
He's the only rim protector they have on that team.
Yeah,
besides LeBron when he's chasing somebody down, a little kid down.
And I've noticed I think I mentioned this in the podcast, and if I didn't, I'll address it now. LeBron does not do as many chase down blocks as he used to. No. He's not. I think it's more of the wisdom. He's playing more of the. I'm trying to get like if I can get through an 82 game season, playing at least 70 to 75 games, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are like, I don't recall if we talked about it or not because there's a lot of friction with players, teams resting players and all that stuff. But it's like they have to do that because teams, when you get into the playoffs, I mean, all right, let's do a hypothetical reseeding. If Boston played Indiana and Cleveland played Chicago, we probably would give much different projections of those series. I would probably say Cleveland would knock Chicago off with their eyes closed. Because Wade is out for the season, if I'm not mistaken.
The second series would be tough against if they go against like the Wizards.
Yeah, if they went against the Wizards, then that would
be tough.
Especially with John Wall, because John Wall now plays. He has that chip on his shoulder game now going on.
And Bradley Beal's not a glass figure anymore, and he's actually been healthy, and he's actually been balling lately too, like you said before. And they got that chemistry going too.
Yeah.
So that would be a tough one.
And see, going back to the defensive side with Cleveland, because I think this is what no one thinks about. Shumpert has been a no-show.
He barely plays because he can't put the ball in the hoop.
Right. Shumpert is a no-show. J.R. Smith is pretty much on the floor just for style.
He was good at defending. Like before he got hurt, he was the best perimeter defender on the team.
Yeah.
And then since he's came back, he hasn't really done as much.
And I mean, you think about it, everyone already knows Kyrie. Kyrie's defensive prowess is not what it used to be. I mean,
it's good when he's into the game, but when he's like sometimes I don't know what he's doing on defense though.
Yeah, he checks out. But see, all right, so this will go into one other thing, and they brought this up when Cleveland played Indiana. Who would be the better option to put on Paul George other than the obvious?
Yeah, LeBron.
Yeah, other than LeBron. I mean, because we already know
down the stretch. They put J.R. Smith on him a lot yesterday,
and he was torching him.
They started doubling over. Well, yeah. Paul George was hot from deep. He was 6 of 8.
I mean, Paul George is just. I think Paul George is really, and you're gonna say this, and you are already. I don't even mind it being said. You want him to play bad because that way he can go ahead and make this move to LA, which I ain't mad at it.
I was going to point that out. I don't want him to be on the All NBA team.
Okay.
And there's more behind that if you know the rules of it. Like,
no. On
the All NBA, if you're a player on the All NBA team, your team that you play for currently can pay you an additional $70 million.
Right.
More than any other team.
Yeah, so they can meet your demand as far as play. Yeah.
So if he doesn't make the All NBA team, now it's back on like an even playing field, and he wants to go to LA. So.
Now when when you say All NBA, that's mean first, second, or third.
First, second, or third. There's a lot of forwards.
Wait a minute. Okay, wait. You really think that there's no? I don't say no chance, but you don't.
There's no chance.
Do you feel as though he could? Do you feel as though he would make it right now?
No, to be honest, because I actually saw
some projections.
Somebody had their own projections of it.
Okay.
And if you think about how many forwards there are out there, because the guard slots are already filled up, because there's a lot of guards in this league. Let's be real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like forward slots like Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Antetokounmpo's above Paul George already. I would say.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's already 4 right there. That just off this top, DeMar DeRozan, I would say, is above him as well too.
See, DeRozan always has those question mark games too. Because one minute he looked like he ready, and in the next game
he had that in that game itself.
Excuse me. Yeah. I'm thinking about that one. That caught my attention, and you were actually right. Yeah, looking at first. So I'm looking at a projection first team on NBC Sports. First team, pretty obvious. Westbrook, Harden, Kawhi, LeBron, and Anthony Davis.
Okay.
Second team, CP3, Steph, KD, Greek Freak, Rudy Gobert.
Okay.
I can't argue. Yeah, that's all accurate so far. Third team, Isaiah Thomas, John Wall, Draymond, Jimmy Butler, which is unique because Butler's been somewhat, but I mean,
even to the playoffs at the end.
Yeah, but I mean, even and they mentioned this in the notes, and then and DeAndre was center. First team to me was fairly obvious. AD played more than 60% of the season. He defends opposing centers. He's a center. Next year may be different. It was very difficult to leave Paul George, Klay Thompson, and DeMarcus Cousins off these lists. But for me, Jordan, Wall, and Butler had slightly better seasons. And I can't. I guess you can't really.
That's what I'm saying. Paul George is like 50-50.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, that can, like you said, that can impact the factor into what can occur next year. So we'll talk about. I'll do one other story. This is non NBA playoff related, but this is factoring into the upcoming draft.
Okay.
Because we always give that little random draft conversation. LA went on their little game winning streak at the end of the season, which kind of can impact what could occur with their pickup for the draft.
Yeah.
So, all right, y'all, my bad. So, I just want to be sure we got the recording because I don't want to miss anything, especially with what we were talking about, because this is a big question, especially with me having a Lakers fan. So, my question to you is, do you feel as though winning the games that y'all did will affect y'all draft stock?
It may. It affects the percentage chance of us getting a top 3 pick.
Okay.
It lowered it by like 9% overall or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Hopefully not, though. Hopefully we still get a top 3 pick. Because if there's no top 3 pick, this whole season was for naught.
Yeah. And now defeat the whole purpose, and then you start back at square one all over again.
And the Lakers also lose their 2018 first round pick. They still have the Houston Rockets first round pick.
Right. With the Lou Williams trade, yeah.
It's not that good of a pick though. It's the late first round pick. So
right. Gotcha.
It did change things though, yeah.
Yeah, that was because I was pissed off. When I saw y'all winning, I was like, wait, aren't you supposed to be trying to lose? I mean,
especially when Russell had a buzzer beater. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, with that, him hitting that buzzer beater meant that he didn't want Lonzo Ball to come in. That's that man. But as you know, that's like somebody mentioned it to me, and I'm not. You may have said this, I'm not sure, but their biggest need or their biggest focus should be trying to go for a center, if anything, because they need to.
Oh, there's no bigs in this class, though. That's next year. Next year's first round class.
Would you
have bigs?
Would you be willing? No, that wouldn't even make sense because I was ready to say, would you all be willing to get Adebayo? But you already got Julius Randle, so never mind.
Yeah, because he's only 6'10", so he's not a legit 7 foot. Bullying down low.
Very valid. So now we'll kind of do the. I mean, we've kind of talked about it and we've jumped into it, but I'm not gonna get us a whole lot of attention at the time. But it's kind of pointing out whether it's Harden's to if it's Russell Westbrook's MVP to win, or if it's James Harden's to lose.
You said if it's Russell Westbrook's to win,
yeah.
James Harden's to lose.
Yep.
That's a good question.
Because I know that's like an odd spin to it, but you see what I'm saying? Like,
that was a definite philosophy right there.
Yeah, because you think about it, like it's pretty much an obvious shoo-in to say Westbrook is the MVP.
Yeah, I would say so because he triple double first time done in 50 years.
Right. To put it, I think, and we talked about this, and I'll share this with you all. And when we do, when we sit down and prep, and I'm learning to get, like I told y'all, with podcasting now, I've gotten more better with, let's sit down, let's, kind of shoot the breeze, do a regular discussion, like you all are listening, just hanging out, to kind of give a bit of an overall perspective of just the sporting scene and how it goes. One of the stats that I've looked at, and I've been kind of like the adamant believer of, is the infamous player efficiency rating, as to like if your rating is strong, if it's how much of an impact you are on the team when you're on the floor or off the floor. Like one stat that I don't think people even look at or really realize is the plus minus. I didn't know that was important. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely. He's up there in a lot of statistics. Like as you said, plus minus.
Yeah.
He's not at the top, but he's top 10 for win shares,
right,
and things of that nature. And obviously, we all know the triple double.
Yeah, the triple double. The triple double stat is, I think, the biggest kick to it.
Yeah, it speaks on its own right there.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't. It's almost like you can't take away from what Harden has done, but the only disadvantage is Westbrook has literally, like, the question isn't, because everybody always does the, if you take this player off of this team, if you switched them, how would it go? You don't know how that would work out because Harden and Westbrook play two totally different styles as point guard, especially with the fact that James Harden was introduced to the point guard role this year. Yeah. And Patrick Beverley, like anybody hears me say all the time, I'm an anti-Patrick Beverley fan because I think after that season they played, I was in the playoffs when they played against Steph Curry, and Steph was pretty much just torching them left and right, and it's like, just because you getting beat on every play doesn't mean you act ignorant and have a moment.
Yeah.
It's like, you still got to respect that you play the game, like you play it the right way. So
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So would it be more of a? Do you think there'd be more of a reaction if Westbrook won MVP or if Harden won MVP? You know what I mean?
Believe it or not, I think there'll be more of a reaction with Harden winning, because a lot of people would feel as though, well, what about Westbrook has done? You know, because Westbrook's done more achievement wise that this year that no one would even think about. The other side of it, and the factor that no one's really putting into the equation, is Harden really, I mean, as far as on his team, he has, like, I mean, you can't take away from the fact, and this is somebody said this to me, and this is why I think I give it to Westbrook more. Harden has Lou Williams. Harden has Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon may not be a big name to some, but Eric Gordon is still 15 points.
Eric Gordon wasn't good a couple of years ago, though.
Oh no, absolutely. A couple of years ago, he was a no-show. Back when he was in New Orleans and he couldn't stay healthy.
Has helped a lot of these players.
Yeah.
Of course, they traded for Lou Williams, and Lou Williams was better before.
Right.
To be honest, I felt it was going to be Harden's year this year because he's been in the talks for the last couple years. But then Westbrook has this year. I feel like you have to give it to Westbrook.
Yeah, right? I mean, I feel like Westbrook came in, and it's part of the chip, him having the chip on his shoulder. Like, a lot of people have to remember that chip on his shoulder from Durant leaving plays into why it went the way it did.
And I think that's the context that you need to add into it. You know what I mean? Like, when deciding for this pick, the fact that Durant left, so he's by himself over here, out here doing what he's doing. So I feel like you have to give it to him.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. And from what we've been reading and from what we were told, and this is still the weirdest thing to me, the NBA is implementing a new rule, or has implemented a new rule, that delays the selection of, or the announcement of, knowing when the MVP is going to be selected. So instead of knowing the regular season MVP near the end of the regular season, we have to wait for the entire season and the playoffs to be finished to find out who the winner is. So we'll be waiting a while for that answer, but I feel as long as it's an opportunity to be discussed, it's going to be a back and forth discussion. Unless Houston makes it. Now, if Houston makes it far, but see, this is where it shouldn't matter. If Houston makes it further in the playoffs, it should not be, okay, we're going to give it to Harden because they made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, I wish they like put it out there when are they votes going in, because we weren't able to find that. We did the research for it. We weren't able to find it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's very important to know when the votes actually go in, because I feel like the playoffs shouldn't have anything to.
The other side of it, I'll say this and then I'll leave it be, is, and this is always what makes the internet so funny, someone somewhere is going to make a mistake and they're going to exploit, or they're going to share who the MVP is. It happens every year. And I feel as though this year is going to be no exception. So I'll, just kind of let it be what it is, and we'll just go from there. So couple more, and I'm not, it's like, I don't want to dead that story, but it's like, we got to, like, now, it's kind of like just I guess you call it the hurry up and wait game. So we just kind of had to wait it out and see who's going to be the better, who's going to win that award. But I think we're both on the same page and looking at it as Westbrook. Like I said, I've ping-ponged mentally about it a couple of times, but I mean, I gotta kind of accept it for what it is.
I wouldn't be mad if either one of them won it, because I feel they both deserve it.
Yeah. And as a sidebar, soccer moment, so I'll have a pout mouth moment for a second. My Chelsea squad is making it known that they don't want to win the Premier League. We lost today to Manchester City 2-0. I'm sorry, Manchester United, excuse me.
You saying like they're losing on purpose?
No, they didn't lose on purpose. I just feel like they
You're mad about that loss.
So what happens is, in Premier League, when it gets down to the end of the series, the end of the season, teams know that there are certain games you have to win. And for whatever reason, like the games that we need to win to solidify holding on to the number one seed, or holding on to the number one spot to get the championship, they're losing or drawing. So when you lose a game in soccer on Premier League, you don't get any points. You don't progress, you don't go down, you just sit. And yesterday, one of the teams that's right on our tail, Tottenham, won, I think, 4-0. So they gained 3 points from their win. So it's like now it's a 4-point lead that we have. So we have to start winning games, because if we don't win or at least draw games, then Tottenham can come up and win it, and then it's like,
how many games are left?
That's a good question. I'll research that while we're talking about the story with Jackie Robinson.
Okay.
So Jackie Robinson, who is known for breaking the color barrier for baseball, yesterday marked 70 years since he achieved that feat. Now, to some people, it's okay, he broke the color barrier, yay, whoop-de-doo. But for baseball as a whole, it's a huge mark, because it helped generate diversity for baseball.
For a lot of things too. It opened the door that it could be open for other sports as well too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No, go ahead. No, you're not gonna stop. Go ahead. Don't.
No, definitely. He was just a model for the African American community, especially with the, like how he was as a person. You know what I mean? Like he never fought back to when he was being abused or anything of that nature. I mean, like verbally abused or things being thrown at him. He always,
he stayed humble. Yeah,
definitely.
You're right. Listen, we're gonna do when we do our podcast. If you got something to say, you can shut me up at any time. I'm chilling. But yeah, it's a big story. So 20 years, and I'm sharing this story because the link that I have shared online actually will take you to a monumental moment which happened 20 years ago, where it was Jackie Robinson's, I don't want to say wife, I'm not sure. I feel really bad if I don't pinpoint this correctly, but because it's another link I have out, it'll be definitely in the show notes, that shows it was Bill Clinton, the then commissioner Bud Selig, and a family member of Jackie. Yeah. Well, they were all standing at center field, making it an announcement and making it known that effective immediately, no one will wear number 42 ever again. Like, they can't come into baseball and decide to wear number 42 because it was retired as part of the game. So that was huge. That was a huge amount of respect and a huge amount of class for them making that decision.
Yeah.
And then, by being generated that way, what they do is every year, any games that are played on the 15th, everyone who plays, regardless of what their number is, everyone wears number 42. So with the teams, now I'm guessing for referee and, political purposes in that regard, they probably base anything that happens on the player name instead of the number. But because I always think about stuff like that, like, well, what if it happened
like in the box score?
Yeah, like how do you break all of it down? They'd have to do it by numbers. By names instead of numbers. So I'm still looking up that information too for Premier League. I haven't forgotten, but yeah, that story was pretty big, and like I said, I have two links. It's one that's going to talk about different things that ways that it impacted players' lives, and then it's also going to be the announcement when Bud Selig actually was at center plate making that announcement. And our last story leading into our ass of the week will be us giving a bit of huge respect and condolences to the Rooney family.
Dan
Rooney, who was the chairman, who pretty much helped with dealing with diversity. He passed on Thursday. He was 84 years old. Sidebar and unique story, which I didn't really even think about. With him coaching, they mainly had, through his time frame, there weren't very many coaches. Like, they had coaches there, but there was a point where, he literally kept it very simple. Like, he would keep coaches on for years.
I think they've only had 3 coaches in their history. 3
right.
or 4 coaches in the Steelers' history.
Right.
Another thing about Dan Rooney and why he's so famous around the league, he created the Rooney Rule.
Yes.
As you were saying earlier, the diversity.
Yes.
So now whenever there's a job opening for a coach or anywhere in the front office or anything of that nature, they have to at least interview one minority, one person of minority. So someone could be Black, Hispanic, Asian, any ethnicity.
They have to at least give that. They have to at least acknowledge that coach, whether he's whether he's a current head coach or if he's an assistant coach or
they have to interview at least one person. Yeah.
Do you feel? And I always, I don't know. It's not even about it being race, black and white, nothing. It's a conversation I always think about with football. Do you feel like they get it right with coaches and being fair with that, or do you feel like it's going to always be a battle with trying to get black coaches in football?
Definitely not fair with that, and also same thing with the NBA when the NBA is like an 80% African American league.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it is.
True.
Like connections, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So no, definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, maybe it's just because more people that are white are better coaches. Maybe that's just the case. Maybe that's just what it is.
Because I always look back at that story and I always think about it in my head with Mark Jackson, because I was listening to the game yesterday. I'm sorry,
mm-hmm.
and Mark Jackson was doing commentary, and the first thing popped in my head was, okay, so he's still not coaching a team, but he helped build a team to get to.
Oh no, he definitely should be coaching, because he had the Warriors when they were still in.
Right.
He made them he got them to the point.
He got them to what they were doing, and I think that's what I things like that I don't understand. But I always look at it and feel as though some coaches have to work twice as hard. Like, I mean, we talked about it. What was it, last week with Patrick Ewing?
Uh-huh.
Ewing's been waiting and waiting and waiting. I mean, I'm glad he's the wait is over.
15 years.
Yeah, but I mean, it shouldn't have taken this long to get to this point. But I mean, hey, you gotta.
Mark Jackson's been out of the league for 3 years now, 4 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
His last season, they were 55 and 27 or something.
Yeah, they pretty much. They had the season. I mean, they were 1 seed.
No, not the year. Not the year that he was coaching.
Not coaching. Oh,
they were the 4 seed, I believe.
Oh yeah, when he first got there.
No, his last season there.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
But he got them into the playoffs because they weren't even a playoff team before he got there. They
were
a 27-win team or something of that nature. He got them to the point where he set the foundation for them.
Yeah.
So that Steve Kerr could come in and he actually did a little bit more with it.
Right.
That's because they're also a little bit more mature as well too.
True. You're right. I mean that's just what it is. So, I just, like I said, I'm hoping his time comes. We just kind of just gotta, I guess, wait it out.
And get the right place. Don't just go to the Sixers.
No,
get a correct
place. No. Say what you want to say. Don't go to the Kings.
Oh, okay, that's about it. That was about it.
All right. So let's see. All right. So I was sidebarring and looking at stuff. So we have, let's see, 34, 35, 36. So you're looking at 5 weeks left of soccer for Premier League. So.
Is that one game a week, or?
So they play. So what happens is teams typically play each week. There may be other games that may be implemented. Okay. Some games can be canceled based on if they're in another tournament, say FA Cup, Champions League, things of that sort. But that can kind of play a role into what could, whether the team will or won't play their game. But most of the time, they find a way to make up for it, to be sure that those games are counted, since every game impacts, especially when you get down to the last few games. So those are sports stories we have, and I know I kind of got subtle at that point, but I always think about that with the Rooney Rule, and then I think about coaches, and I'm like, it's kind of like they make it fair, but they don't make it fair, and it's like it shouldn't be that complicated or that complex when it comes to doing things of that sort.
Yeah, and he followed his own advice by hiring somebody who was with Mike Tomlin. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Mike Tomlin was, and I mean Mike Tomlin got one. He got one championship with him, right?
Yeah, his first season he got a championship with them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've been. I mean, now they're trying to. They're rebuilding. It's good. Big Ben will be back next season, so hopefully
Martavis Bryant will be back next season.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Exactly. So, so I don't even know if I want to even make any reference to how sad or how backwards this is, but we're gonna go ahead and go into the. As you know, like I said, we do our podcast about sports and stuff, and we do what's called, or what we know as, the Ass of the Week. And Ass of the Week this week is no exception.
Yeah, to United.
Yeah, they did a great job on stinking this one up. I'm trying to just understand where was the sense in what they were or weren't trying to do. So I had a couple of people talk to me about this. I was watching video game streams talking about it just to kind of get an idea of the overall story as to what occurred. So basically, there were, they have, you're board. Everyone's boarding the flight. They have so many seats that they have booked for the flight to make sure everyone's accommodated. Cool, no problem, no big deal. Well, they needed extra seating based on, I guess, a stewardess or someone else needing to board a pilot.
They needed pilots to another area.
Right. Now, here's where my logic comes into play and why I'm confused. I don't understand why they couldn't put the pilot on another flight.
Or give the pilot a rental car because it was only 4 hours away driving.
Exactly.
Or offer more money before they get on the plane.
Yeah.
I don't get why they waited until after the person's already sitting down on the plane.
Yep.
To get them off the plane. Like,
yep.
It'd make more sense to not let the person on the plane.
Yep.
That would prevent from having to drag somebody off of a plane, which is definitely very rude and not good customer service.
Yep. And then what they did, which I don't... this is a bit of a movie story, but this will kind of tie into what they kind of did. There was a movie that came out years ago, which is it's the stupidest movie, but it was what happened. And it kind of references to what this was all about, where it was called The Lottery, where basically you're in a small town. I'm going to give the very brief version of the story because I know podcast wise you don't want to do a 4-page letter, but you take everyone in the town, they all draw numbers or they draw like these pieces of paper. Everyone gets a piece of paper. If your paper doesn't have a mark on it, you're fine. Only one piece of paper has a mark on it. Whoever's piece of paper has the mark on it, they're stoned to death.
That sucks.
So the person who got the piece of paper, they literally had like a pile of stones over in the side, and everyone picked up a stone, and they all stood there and they did it. And as soon as that happened, after that point, they decided not to do the lottery anymore. So why this story is shared and implemented into this situation is because there were 4 people chosen at random who were asked to leave off of the flight. Before doing that, however, they were giving offers or kind of negotiating deals to give vouchers away. One was a $400 voucher for a hotel. It was a $400 voucher, a hotel stay, and a seat on a plane that would leave 21 hours later.
Those were all insufficient because they could give up to like $13.50. So
right.
I'm saying, like, why?
Yep. And then the second offer, no one volunteered after that. So then the second offer was $800 in vouchers. Now that's vouchers. That's not
money.
My ticket. That's not my seat. That's not, I'm getting my seat, but I'm not getting my seat where I can leave in that time frame and be able to make it where I need to go with no issues. So with that being done the way it did, it then caused someone to be chosen, who was, the individual's name was David Dow, who was a 69-year-old. I want to say he was a doctor. He was and I'm sorry for the noise. Everybody, it's like the moment you don't do technology, it's like everybody's checking, but it's neither here nor there. The doctor, who's from Elizabethtown, Kentucky, refused his seat, and he needed to be where he was because he had patients to go work with at his clinic. So because he didn't get off of the plane, or he refused to leave his seat, it turned into a scuffle where he was pulled off of the plane.
Yeah.
Attaining several injuries, things of that sort, pretty much dragging him by his arms, practically looking unconscious, things of that sort. And they showed the aftermath of it, and it was a bloody, you had a bloody face. And like I say all the time, this is 2017. Everyone somewhere has a camera.
Yeah.
So it was literally footage immediately shared regarding that. He was taken to the hospital eventually with with non-life-threatening injuries. They, wanted the world to know that everyone was, the families, everyone was, caring about him and concerned, and he was very appreciative of it. But social media the reason why this is Ass of the Week is because social media had a field day with this story. Because it literally gave them a black eye. It gave United Express a huge black eye, and it made them look like one of the worst airport services to do what they did. And that just caused it literally caused like a major tension and traction of what occurred regarding their reputation. Mm-hmm. It was a story I found. I can't think of it, but I didn't share it because I had an honorable mention for Ass of the Week, but I know this one definitely was like a shoo-in. So yeah, I just wanted to at least kind of get this story in there and throw this as a wild card for this week's podcast as Ass of the Week. But I am glad that Dimitri worked with me under last moment conditions. Appreciate you showing in and actually inviting me to the humble abode to do the episode.
Yeah, I appreciate you rescheduling for me.
Man.
I had something with the family to do with yesterday.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. Well, any closing remarks before we close out?
Nah, good. Hopefully a good day of playoff games.
Yeah, we're going to get a good wave of playoff games. Hopefully we'll get a final MVP winner. So we'll finish up there. Until next time, this is the Past Podcast signing out. Y'all take it easy.
Take it easy.
Peace. We've done it once again. We finished yet another episode. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you're not following on Twitter or on Facebook, please look up Past Podcast. That's PASS Podcast, one word. I am accepting inquiries for any topics or concerns at pastpodcastbt@gmail.com. And just continue to support. I appreciate all the support and everyone listening and tuning in. Until next time, y'all take it easy.